No ID is meant for a sane audience. No ID may contain liberty-oriented content. Pinko discretion is advised. Now, here's No ID with Paul Banducci and Scott Moskowitz.
Hey, welcome back. It's No ID, North Idaho's mainstream narrative media deconstruction. I'm Scott.
Hello, Internet. I'm Paul. What a beautiful day. Another day, another outraged mob, Scott. They're all over the place. The NPCs, they're out in force.
You can see the glow from their torches.
Just once, I wish the NPCs would actually be outraged about the things that they should be outraged about. Things that matter, like paying rent to the government and calling it property taxes, or wanting to do anything really on their own property and being told they need a permit, or having money stolen for every hour of their life they are productive, or having their currency manipulated every minute of every day and just printed out of thin air like it's nothing, because, spoiler alert, it is. One can dream.
Well, I have a perfect property tax clip just to piggyback right on what you're saying.
Neighbors in Boise could soon be paying more in property taxes. And city leaders say it's part of balancing a budget with growing demands. I'm senior reporter Riley Shoemaker, and I am talking with Boiseans downtown to see what they think about paying more. Property taxes are a major source of revenue for the city of Boise, helping fund service.
I already know. Hold on. How many of them? This will be I don't know. This is an Ask Scott, I guess. What do you think the over under is on how many of these NPCs living in Boise will say, well, it's the price we pay for living in civilization. At least, depending on how many they interview, I don't know how many you're going to give us here, but if they interview 5, 2 for sure will. For sure 2. If they interview 3, 1 for sure will. Possibly still 2. That's the bet I'm taking. Do you want to take that bet?
I can't take a bet.
I'm
guaranteed to lose.
No, that's fine. That's fair. I was offering a betting line, and I wanted, we offering some action. If you wanted to take it, it was yours. But I understand. I wouldn't bet against me on this one either.
This, by the way,
at all, because this is Idaho and betting is illegal.
Oh yeah, we don't do that here. I'll meet you at state line.
No gambling allowed.
We can in the parking lot of a gas station at State Line. We can make the wager there. How about that?
I'm in.
This, by the way, this is from Idaho News 6 down in southern Idaho, and the story is that the proposal on the table, you'll never guess, is to the maximum allowed increase, the 3% per Idaho state law is the maximum you can increase it. That's what the city of Boise wants to do. In the last show that we did, it was the Ask Paul from last show was about the severance package recently given to one of the lackeys that left the city and went to some other city in Idaho and was given about $200,000 in severance between just cash money plus accrued leave-in benefits and all those things. So when they say the budget, it's a very important source of revenue so that they can deliver services. Remember that wrapped up in the services is massive severance packages for administrative employees, in addition to potholes.
I'll bet you they spend significantly less on potholes than they do on personnel expenses.
As such, value for value, the model that this show runs on, I did receive somebody had clipped that. A dude named Jeff sent me a clip that he made, and it was of that segment. And that's when, when something tickles your funny bone or something stands out to you or whatever catches your ear, and you take to your keyboard or take to your phone to send us stuff along those lines, whether you have a boots on the ground response because it's something you know about, or you make a clip of it like a dude named Jeff did, or anything of the sort. We have a donation along those lines later in the show. That is value returned, and that's the value for value model that the show runs on. So thanks, dude named Jeff. It actually is a clipping tool that he made. I have to hold on. Let me look at the name of it here because it's at the end of the clip.
You mean like a program that he created?
Yeah, a program. Yeah, he built it. And
wow, dude named Jeff, talented and handsome.
He is, as a matter of fact, and he made this. It's called Cliperoni, Cliperoni.com, and what it did is it's pretty cool. I posted it
for names.
I posted it to
A for app, F for name. Dude named Jeff. You should have consulted us first before you named that thing. We could have done better for you.
What's wrong with
we
Cliperoni?
could have valued you. Yeah. I mean, there's so much better material out there.
Clipadian bacon.
Clip India.
The cool part about it is that it auto-populates like a bunch of B-roll. So in the clip, which was us playing an NPR report on this massive severance package of many that the city of Boise doles out to the people that Lauren McLean likes doling it out to.
Yeah. And it's not just the city of Boise; it's every city.
It's every city, exactly.
Take a look at any city you live in, and this shit happens.
Yes, it's not unique to Boise. But what's cool about the clip is there's a bunch of B-roll integrated into it. So like, the city of Boise, and then the clip shows the Capitol. And then it's, when administrators, and then it's showing a desk, and it's showing someone working at a desk. And the program that dude named Jeff built auto-populates all of this B-roll in addition to the transcript. And anyway, it's cool. And I posted it on.
That is clever. So it's audio, so it's visual and audio. It's video, I guess, not just audio clips.
Exactly.
The auto-populated B-roll, is it AI generated, or is it
it is.
Where he's muck raked through all the B-roll out there and put it all together, and it's just there at his disposal.
I think it's AI generated.
Disposal, I guess.
He said
it's still cool.
It's cool. So what did he said? We had a little back and forth on it. He said, I should have tweaked the B-roll prompts to be more fun or dramatic, but I wanted to see what it would do without my input. So it was just a single prompt, and then it was all auto-generated. But it sounds like he's tweaking it and made some improvements to it recently, and it sounds like it's going to be a tool that is made for the public to use.
Rock on. Way to
go,
go,
thanks,
dude named
Jeff, for sending that in. And in the meantime, back to this Idaho News 6 clip about
unlike Boise bureaucrats, you sir, are an actual contributor to society. So thank you.
And I am talking with Boiseans downtown to see what they think about paying more. Property taxes are a major source of revenue for the city of Boise, helping fund services like police, fire, parks, and libraries. To gauge public reaction, I took a question to the streets of downtown Boise.
Am I ready for my property taxes to go up? I know that my taxes are going up and there's not much I can do about it, but I am not happy about it at all.
The city is proposing.
Have you heard of tarring and feathering, sir? I actually am a big fan of the making tar and feathering great again movement.
Oh, yeah.
There are dozens of us. Dozens.
March them down Main Street naked.
Yeah. What we need to do is call up our sister chapter, Tree of Liberty, and we got to merge the two groups and make hangings and tarrings and featherings great again. And I think positive change can come from that.
Tree looks awfully thirsty.
The city is proposing a 3% property tax increase in 2027, the maximum increase allowed under Idaho law. City budget officials say the proposal is driven by rising costs and the need to maintain services as Boise continues to grow.
Property taxes go.
Why are costs rising?
Seems like a natural question one might ask if one were curious about, I don't know, anything, just general curiosity and not just shilling on behalf of the state government.
I'm going to channel my inner Jules from Pulp Fiction, and when they say inflation again, I'm just going to point my gun at him. Say inflation again. Say inflation again. I dare you. I double dog dare you. Say it again.
It's rising costs. It's rising when we give these massive severance packages, it really takes a bite out of our budget, and so the costs rise.
And the need to maintain services as Boise continues to grow.
Property taxes go into the city's general fund, and that pays for the majority of the city's services, primarily public safety. So think police, fire, but also critical services.
Safety.
It's for the safety of the kids and it's a fire.
No,
fire.
Just the safety.
And what if your house is on fire? We need 3% more property taxes on account of what if your house is on fire?
primarily
never put it
public
out.
safety. So think police, fire, but also critical services like parks and libraries.
Wait, I thought, wait. I thought cops and firefighters were the critical services. Did she just call parks a critical service? Did I hear that right?
They're all critical. They're all the services are critical, man. The only thing that's not critical is you and your family and your income.
But also critical services like parks and libraries.
Alicia McAndrews oversees the city's budget division. She says 70% of the city's general fund goes towards paying employees who provide those services. Some neighbors like
who called that?
He said it. I love it. They usually leave that part out, but in this case, they actually mentioned
70% of our budget goes to bureaucratic bloat,
payroll.
And it's a jobs program. That's what it is.
Payroll.
A jobs program.
We take your money, we run payroll. When Paul and I,
and they all vote
at in the middle of the day on a Tuesday in the building that they're working in. Yeah. And
in the off-cycle elections, every time a levy comes up, every time a bond comes up, every time anything like this comes up, they all vote. And I bet you we can tell you which way they vote, Scott.
3 guesses and the first 2 don't count.
We fund our own oppression.
Yeah. Well, yeah. By the way, like, we've mentioned it before, but whatever. We're never going to stop mentioning it. Payroll was the biggest line item for our private businesses. So the notion of taking in revenue so that you can run your payroll, and then, have the check clear so that all the employees get paid makes total sense. If I was confiscating the revenue forcibly instead of having to earn people coming through my doors to spend discretionarily, you know how many more employees I would have? What incentive would I have to not just hire as many people and pay them as much as possible? Hello.
Congratulations. You've just noticed a major distinction between the free market and private sector versus the state.
Why in the world seems like nobody can do the math on this, or not nobody, but precious few. Yeah. Why is nobody doing that?
It's almost like incentives matter, and human nature is human nature no matter where you go. So if you don't have an incentive to save money or to spend money wisely, you're not gonna. Super
Hello?
Weird. There's 4 ways you can spend money, Scott.
What?
You can spend your own money on yourself. You can spend your own money on someone else. You can spend someone else's money on yourself, or you can spend someone else's money on someone else. And the vast amount of the government, just in general, are the latter 2. Exclusively. It's spending someone else's money on yourself and spending someone else's money on someone else. And when you are that removed from the consequences of your actions and the equations, you get what we have here. Give me more money. Also, I have to point this out now before I forget, but isn't it rich and ironic that while the same politicians who reside down in the city of Boise, who have just bitched and moaned and whined about 3% budget cuts at the state level, how much are they asking for? Only 3%. It's only 3% they're asking for from their slaves. I mean, their citizens. Meanwhile, if you cut 3% from them, people are literally dying.
I mean, these cuts are killing people. Literally.
So how's that for one of just the sexiest ironies we could have come up with today?
33.
I think we ought to make $3.33 a donation tier, because it's super obtainable and easy for anybody to do, and it just perfectly represents the budget ironies.
333.
Just throwing it out there.
Let's do 33.33. I think $3.33 is a little small.
Do we not have 33.33 already? I
think we only have a 33, and I that's on me. I should have put 3, and in fact I will. I will change it to 33.33. I had missed a perfectly good opportunity to add another 33.
Yeah. Well, what? So we do have that tier already. What's it called then? What are we calling it?
It's called the No Agenda, naturally.
Oh. Well, okay. I say we change it and call it the state budget.
Maybe. Okay. I gotta think about how I'm going to structure that.
Yeah. I know.
Well, yeah.
I know. I mean, I don't want to take away from your inspiration, the No Agenda guys. I mean, no, I'm not trying to throw shade in their direction. Much respect and love and all that, but I mean, come on. You can't tell me you're not at least tempted here.
It's tempting.
Think about it.
Alicia McAndrews oversees the city's budget division. She says 70% of the city's general fund goes towards paying employees who provide those services. Some neighbors, like Ryan Spoon, question whether high taxes are the best way to meet the city's needs.
I think government always claims that they can fix all the problems if you just give them more money.
Boise resident Michael Fitzgerald says he understands the challenge of keeping up with a growing city's needs.
We need infrastructure. We need our cops. We need people to protect us, and we need
roads,
like our fire departments, EMS, our roadways, everything, in order for us to have a prominent society.
Every time, Scott.
Every single time. I love it.
In order for us to have a prominent society.
Buddy says if taxes are going up, residents should be able to clearly see where that money is being spent.
I think if they're going to raise those property taxes, then it needs to be absolutely clear how it's going to benefit you as an individual.
The city's proposed budget is expected to be released on June 12th, with public hearings to follow before the budget is finalized later this summer.
Did you hear what they said about, they actually say, in rare form, they say 70% of the budget goes to payroll, but
the city's general fund goes towards paying employees who provide those services.
It is
paying
insane.
employees who provide the
insane.
services.
Oh, bullshit. Oh,
It's
so
such a load
insane.
of crap. It's unbelievable. Like, okay, I'll give you a quick personal anecdote with some land that I'm trying to do with the city of Post Falls, and I'm trying to do a boundary line adjustment, but they want a minor subdivision. I don't need to go into the details, but I've been at the surveyor that I've hired, who's a private contractor, and me have been attempting to figure out why the city wants a minor subdivision for something that the surveyor was like, I don't understand why we don't just need to do a boundary line adjustment. Why is the city requiring you to do a minor subdivision when you're not trying to subdivide? And we just cannot, for love or money, get a response out of the, you can't get an answer. Email, calls. We went, the guy met me down there. My surveyor met me down there at 10 a.m. on a Wednesday last week to just walk in to try to talk to somebody. Nobody would talk to us. They just had the front desk chick like, oh, they're not in, they're not in. I'm sure they were just hiding in their offices. This notion that they are like there to serve you and this gigantic payroll bloat and they're there to render the services. It's such a freaking load of crap. I can't believe anybody buys this stuff.
That's because most people who buy it have never actually dealt with it. The vast majority of people who defend property taxes, who defend the DMV, who act as if society will collapse without the bureaucracy, they barely have ever interacted with it. So in their minds, it serves a purpose. But the moment you have to interact with it, ask any small business owner. There's a reason why most, not all, but most small business owners tend to lean conservative, libertarian, somewhere on the right side of the modern American political spectrum, and it's because you get red pilled pretty quick, and then you get black pilled, at some point too, on the system when you have to deal with a universal building code binder that is 10 inches thick, and nobody ever could possibly know what the hell is all in it ever, and you have to deal with that just to remodel a bathroom for your business, or to put in a load bearing wall, or to put in your bar or whatever. As somebody who's remodeled a space at 4 or 5 times now, different spaces for business purposes, it's an epic nightmare. And you go there, and here's how the interaction should go. This would be the common sense thing, and I think most people think it goes this way because they don't know any better. They've never been on the other side of the counter, and they're NPCs. They just don't think about it, and they don't care because it doesn't affect them. But they think it goes like this. We go down, we submit our plans, we go, this is what we want to do. And then we get told, okay, well, you just need this and this, and you're good to go. Okay, awesome. Let's do it. Nope. What it is instead is you have to meet with them, submit plans multiple times. And throughout the process of submitting plans, you cannot go down there and go, hey, here's what we have in mind. Will you look at it and then tell us what we can and can't do? You can't actually do that. You have to put together your plans in the way that you think will serve your business best or what you can afford. And then you have to submit them for consideration. And then they come back to you at some point after 2 or 3 or 4 weeks in the hopper. And they tell you, no, this is okay. This is absolutely not okay. And no. And then you talk to them again and you go, okay, well, what's the alternative? What can I do? And they tell you, we don't know, and or we won't say. Well, all they can do is review what you've submitted and tell you what you can't do. And they never offer alternatives. They never offer help. And they never, at the outset of it, just look at it all and go, okay, no, you can't do A, but you can do B and C. No, nothing like that. It is an arduous process. Whenever you deal with the city bureaucrats for anything that involves anything really, and the legal system, that's a whole nother thing to unwrap, but it operates the same way. You think you got a good case? You probably don't. Take everything that's common sense and throw it right out the fucking window. Common sense does not exist. It is all purely bureaucracy, protocol, bylaws, sub-laws, subsections, and bureaucrats who do the bare minimum because they don't have to do anything else. There is no incentive to serve the citizen because we're not customers. We're tax cows. There's no incentive to be helpful because you don't get promoted based on being helpful. You get promoted based on tenure. How long have you been there? Et cetera, so on and so forth. It's a systemic issue. It's a city thing. It's a county thing. It's a state thing. Every level, if you are a productive member of society and you've dealt with it, you tend to get red-pilled and then eventually black-pilled by it. And that's why our demographic understands that you cannot hate the state enough.
Well, the only thing I would
and the fact that Boise's budget goes 70% for payroll, that basically it is purely a jobs program at that point that just happens to dabble in providing a few services when it can get around to it.
There's only one thing I would take exception to from what you said, which is you said a moment ago that the people who are sort of for it or like this sort of NPC type crowd who doesn't think about this stuff. You say they don't think about it because they don't. It just doesn't affect them. Except for it does, man. They get half their freaking labor taken away from them. And then they turn around and defend that fact. They like sort of, they go to bat on behalf of their oppressors.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. What I mean, so I was saying it as if it was from their perspective. Like from NPC's perspective, it doesn't affect them. They don't notice, they don't know because, if it's not right in front of their nose and directly impacts them in a way that is visible and overt, then it's not their problem.
Even then. I mean, 2020 and 2021 showed us that even when it affects them as directly as possible, like hold cloth over your face while you go about your life for 2 years or until we tell you otherwise, they'll do that too. If it affects them physically, mentally, their kids, they will do anything because they believe in the inherent legitimacy of the state. So therefore, everything that flows from that is inherently legitimate. I'll do whatever I'm told for as long as I'm told.
Well, we live in an age where for the last 100 and some odd years, because indoctrination has been run by the state, you basically have, at this point, I don't know, 7, 8 generations worth of a culture that has been told nonstop from ages 4 till 20 that the government is benevolent, the government is omnipotent, the government is powerful, it is God. The government is the answer to your problems. I mean, that's the whole point of state-run indoctrination camps, also known as public education. You get kids while they're young and you teach them that the state is God and is the answer to everything, and they'll fasten the shackles to their own ankles.
The state.
Charming.
But effective. I mean, there's a reason why most of these people are NPCs. It's the reason why most people defend heinous things like property taxes. I mean, when you really break down a property tax, you are paying tax on unrealized gain that has been assessed at arbitrary value based on what the people who stand to benefit from it being a higher amount say it is.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay, they take your home.
It's structurally indefensible.
They take your home. And people are just like, this is perfectly fine. Without these people threatening to take our homes, society would collapse. It would be chaos.
Anarchy.
Lou Rockwell. This is who I was trying to look up. His quote has lived with me forever. I saved it on my computer. Lou Rockwell says, "It isn't a coincidence that governments everywhere want to educate children. Government education, in turn, is supposed to be evidence of the state's goodness and its concern for our well-being. The real explanation, of course, is less flattering. If the government's propaganda can take root as children grow up, those kids will be no threat to the state apparatus. Indeed, they will fasten the chains to their own ankles." and we see it in real time every day. Also, for a moment of levity, I lost the bet. I don't know why you wouldn't have taken that bet, Scott, because I took the over on 2, and you were the dude who put together the audio,
Well,
and you
it's
knew
not fair,
of the
I mean.
3. Dude, you could have crushed me.
And
I mean, I
take a
guess
bet,
thanks for
you
being
know.
a gentleman, but
Also, you can make.
so I actually was wrong. They interviewed 3 Boiseites, and 2 of the 3 were kind of like,
I thought it
I'm
was
actually
just
not
one.
so sure about
Wasn't
this.
it just one?
No, the first one.
Or
was
two,
also
two.
kinda
I mean,
like,
I'm sorry. It was 2. I thought it was because they actually had a guy on there who was like, government always says that they'll solve problems if they just get more money. And then the other guy was like, what about the cops and the roads?
So there were 3. There were 3 interviews, I
What
thought.
was the other
Unless I'm mistaken, did they only interview 2? I thought they interviewed 3.
I thought it was 2.
Oh, okay.
Let's
Then
pull
it
it
was the first
primary.
half that I heard, I thought was a separate interview.
Well,
wash.
Who knows? I mean, we don't. So that's the thing. You can edit man on the street interviews to make whatever. You can make the viewer feel whatever you want, depending on how you edit it. So we don't actually. Who knows how many they interviewed? They only aired 2.
I'm shocked that they actually gave an opposing point of view on
me
the
too.
property tax issue.
Me too. Let's move along here. I think this is a new no ID record for the amount of people who messaged me about this story. And it appears to be a non-story, but boy, is it catching fire on the socials.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Don't tell me. I can guess.
Okay.
It's the sheriff possibly crashing while driving drunk story, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's been all over the Facebooks.
So first of all, again, value for value, where those of you who messaged me about this story, thank you for not just letting it go by, but you came across it and you thought to message us about it. Awesome. That is value returned. Appreciate it. And there was a couple that message like, "Hey man, Sheriff Norris was DUI, crashed his truck," and then they messaged later like, "Oh, well, it turns out that might be bullcrap." But it got mainstream coverage because it was just viral enough. So here is 4 News Now.
The County Sheriff's Office is pushing back against online claims that Sheriff Bob Norris was involved in a crash earlier this month in Coeur d'Alene. The claims stem from social media posts alleging Norris nearly hit 2 people on May 16th. The Sheriff's Office says Norris couldn't have been involved since he was not in the state at the time. The office confirmed a crash did happen. They reached out to the driver and wished them a full recovery. They did not say what led up to that crash.
All right. I already know. I want to do the Clark Fork story after this one because both of them involve a recurring theme. And the recurring theme is who done it. And the who done it is a super easy mystery to solve. Who was driving? Well, it should be pretty obvious. Either it was Bob Norris or it wasn't Bob Norris. How is this a mystery?
It's a lot of
and when we cover this next story that's going to be after this one, it's very similar. Like, well, okay, it's this or this, and it's super easy to verify. How is this hard?
Apparently, it is next to impossible, and we haven't gotten to the end of the CSI episode yet where it's revealed. Here, that was a very discombobulated and weird way to present from 4 News Now. Here is here's a Coeur d'Alene Press article from May 30th, as read by a voice from 11 Labs. The title of the article is Norris Refutes DUI Crash Rumors.
Kootenai County Sheriff Bob Norris refuted allegations that he was involved in a recent single-vehicle crash near Raising Cane's after rumors of such circulated on social media.
Now, by the way, there's no guarantee that all of this isn't just a ad reads for Raising Cane's. Because that's the one thing that appears the most.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that.
This is part of their native
What a
ad
brilliant, oh my gosh. Okay, if that is the case, hat tip. Just, you guys win. You win. Nice job.
It's unclear who crashed their red Toyota Tundra next to Raising Cane's, which has delicious chicken fingers, but like they get a lot.
Here's
of
a Raising Cane's employee talking about what he saw happened while he was on shift making that delicious chicken that everybody loves. It was really tough of this Raising Cane's employee to take time out of working for Raising Cane's, making Raising Cane's chickens for the people who love Raising Cane's. It's pretty great.
Blogger Casey Whalen first shared the allegation.
Yeah, I know.
I know. You
It
keep
is out
going.
there.
I
It's
have
out
the music.
there.
Blogger Casey Whalen first shared the allegations Thursday, publicly posting several videos on the matter, including an interview with a man wearing a Raising Cane's uniform who said he witnessed Norris
Whoa.
crash into the restaurant sign, damaging it.
I win.
There is one problem with this narrative, the sheriff's office said
One?
in a news release Friday.
Only one?
Sheriff Bob Norris was not in the state of Idaho on the date and time of this incident. According
That's a
to the
big
Coeur
problem.
d'Alene Police Department, the crash occurred May 16th, and Idaho State Police handled the investigation. The driver, identified by police as Kirk Kelso, was driving his vehicle during the rainstorm when he lost control of his vehicle, according to public records obtained by the press. Kelso crashed
And Raising
into the
Cane
Raising
eyewitnesses.
Cane's sign and sustained a concussion, according to
The Raising
ISP.
Cane sign.
He has not been charged with any crime.
It wasn't even the Raising Cane sign, by the way. It was the Safeway sign, but anyway.
Whalen's video
Well,
circulated
if
on
it had
social
been the
media.
Raising Cane's sign, then he would have been charged with a crime. You know it.
Whalen's video circulated on social media, with one receiving more than 10,000 views as of Friday afternoon. London Eden, the restaurant employee, told Whalen in a video interview that he pulled Norris from the vehicle after the crash and that the sheriff smelled strongly of alcohol. He also said a female passenger in the vehicle, whom Whalen implied was Norris's wife, was badly injured. Kelso was the vehicle's sole occupant, according to police. Norris said he was celebrating
Wait, what?
Yeah, that seems to be a weird point.
Okay, wait. So, what a weird way to stop and then start two separate accounts. That's what just happened here, right? I heard that right? Correct? They just talked to eyewitness Raising Cane's employee who says, I pulled Bob Norris from the truck, and it was Bob Norris. Bob Norris.
Not only that, but
and his
also
wife.
a female passenger who was banged up real bad.
But and then like full stop, but no break. Kelso was the sole driver of the truck.
Yep. So that's one of the main
Okay.
points of strangeness, that they're trying to drum up or harp on. I don't know, that the truck was only the driver, and Kelso appears to be like former Coeur d'Alene police or former sheriff's office. Like he's associated with law enforcement.
This is precisely why we pay our 3% increase in property taxes, Scott, to make sure things like this don't happen.
For protection. Okay, here's the end of the article. Here's the end of the
Isn't
article.
that how that works?
Kelso
If only
was
we
the-
had paid more taxes.
Kelso was the vehicle's sole occupant, according to police. Norris said he was celebrating his daughter's high school graduation Thursday, while rumors circulated that he had crashed a vehicle while driving drunk. The actions of this Cane's employee, keyboard warriors, and the two-bit so-called
Raising
online
Cane's.
journalists ruined what should have been a memorable evening for our family, Norris said in a news release.
So that's the
Ooh,
Coeur d'Alene
two-bit
Press
journalists.
article.
Nice.
Yep.
I wonder what they call us. I hope we rate as at least a bit and a half.
Well, and we're not journalists. Let's be clear. We are
That's
not
true.
journalists.
So we're like 5-bit journalists or 5-bit podcasters. I don't know what the going rate is these days. 5 stars. Would recommend.
So I reached out to Seth Horst, the host of the North Idaho Experience, who is former law enforcement. And I was like, hey, so with regard to like interagency cover-ups, like, because what strikes me as what makes this baloney is that the notion of ISP and other agencies all working together to cover up something like this, to like cover up on behalf of Norris. And I was like, well, I'm not really
never
sure. It
happened.
smells like baloney, but then again, like I'm not putting anything past anybody these days. And so Seth said, this seems like a real odd one. There is no way that you could get that many officers from different agencies to cover up anything. ISP would have nothing to gain and everything to lose, not a chance. So that's what makes me believe this has just got to be bullcrap. And I'm not sure what is motivating the Raising Cane's employee. Yes, Raising Cane's off 95 at Neater. I don't know what would be motivating that person, but people do all sorts of weird things for weird reasons.
It's Niter, by the way. That's how I know you're not from here.
Niter.
It's
Sorry.
like when the county officer was harassing me back in 2023, and I had that really lovely time with the Post Falls City PD and County PD, and he said I had been going too fast on Mulan Avenue. It's Mullen, dude.
The Disney movie?
As in like after Captain Mullen, one of the guys who created history right here in the area, Captain John Mullen. I think it was John Mullen, but last name was Mullen. Yeah, like Mulan, the Disney princess. I was like, oh, dude, you are not from here.
I'm not, man. I'm from Los Angeles.
The whale's vagina, according to Ron Burgundy.
Okay, let's do. We want to do the Bonner B one.
Yeah, I definitely do. But real quick, to wrap this one up, do we have a conclusive conclusion on whether this is legit or not? Because these are two completely different.
It's very strange
stories going on here.
From what I can gather, as conclusive as I can get at this time, it seems like it was this Kelso guy who that he's former law enforcement is just whatever. He's former law enforcement. It seems like he might have had some sort of I don't know, a stroke or some sort of medical incident while driving, because he flew around the corner like on Niter onto Highway 95 and just there was no brakes, there was no nothing. He just had like 50 something miles an hour in a Toyota Tundra, just went careening into the ditch and crashed and took out like a concrete, a post or whatever for a street lamp, and then smashed into the concrete Safeway sign. And it just seems like he might have had some sort of incident at the wheel, and Bob Norris doesn't seem like he was the guy. There's no giant interagency cover up, and maybe time will tell what is motivating the Raising Cane's employee who gave the initial the eyewitness employee.
We, as a community, did Niter see that coming?
Well, if anything comes of it, I mean, we'll cover it here. But as of now, it's just bullshit.
This would be bitching if any of you out there end up getting the dish further on this, please hit us up, because my curiosity is piqued.
Yeah.
I say.
Yes.
I think this, though.
Weird one.
I will say that if it had indeed been Sheriff Bob Norris, we already would probably know more about it. And the press, the Coeur d'Alene press, would not let that one go. Like, they would be all over it like flies on shite, because, the former are parasites and the latter is shite, and they both deserve each other. But funny enough, they both hate each other. The press is no friend of Norris and vice versa. So if Norris really was finding himself in a highly compromising, career-ending position, the press would be all over it, man. I mean, we'd be hearing about it for nonstop for 2 weeks, every day. So that's what leads me to believe that it's fake news.
Does seem like it. Oh, speaking of fake news, there's a correction I would like to make from the last show, episode 30 of No ID. It was brought to my attention by Matt Todd, the host of The Ranch, who texted that he said that it was the spelling bee story where I was like, oh, did you catch that the spelling bee contestants, the local kids going to the National Spelling Bee, were from Kootenai Classical Academy, which is a private school. And he said, hey, Kootenai, this wasn't the only thing he mentioned. So it wasn't like he texted me just to give me this correction, but he did say Kootenai Classical Academy, not a private school. It's open enrollment charter school. Yeah. And it's paid for by tax dollars. And what I was actually thinking of in my head, I was thinking of the Classical Christian Academy in Coeur d'Alene. I just conflated them in my head.
Which is a private school. But Kootenai Classic, so Matt Todd, the man with two names, he is correct. It is a charter school, the same way the Coeur d'Alene Charter Academy is a charter school. And yes, they do receive some public funding, but the distinction with charter schools, unlike like true blue, what we would call just, I guess, public schools, they don't receive, I believe it's state funding. It's one or the other. They receive federal but not state, or state but not federal. And I always forget which one it is.
I think it was federal but not state. I'm pretty sure.
I believe that is correct. I'm going to look it up right now. Receive federal but not state funding? ? It's the other way around. Public
it's state, not federal. Okay.
State and local funding, not federal.
There you go.
Which makes sense then. They don't have ties to the Department of Education. They don't have to deal with any of the administration of the bureaucracy at the federal level, and all that entails. So that's the distinction, is their funding is exclusively state and local, and of course fundraisers and stuff like that. The parents usually tend to contribute heavily to charter schools as well. I actually went to Coeur d'Alene Charter Academy from 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, and part of 10th grade. I spent 3.5 years there. And my wife graduated from the Coeur d'Alene Charter Academy. And my dad built the basketball program at Coeur d'Alene Charter Academy so that I could play ball while I was there.
Nice.
And then I rewarded his efforts by transferring out about a year later. And
Perfect.
It wasn't for me. Charter Academy is a great college preparatory school if you're into that scene, but if you have any interest outside of that, it's not a great school.
Wait, was there somebody who was really like the establishment was pissed that that Todd Banducci had built the basketball program, was in power, so they accused him of attempting to burn down the school's basketball program?
Actually, not too far off.
No, really?
No, the principal who was in charge at the time, Nels Patati, he was like the nerd's nerd, and he was at best apathetic, but probably more antipathetic towards sports, as any nerd tends to be. You always know who got picked last for sports. They carry it with them forever wherever they go.
Yeah.
And they kind of fought my dad the whole way. Some people pushed hard in our favor, but Nels Patati and a couple others fought against it. But we got it going, and it was cool. It was cool, man. It was a big deal putting together a basketball program. That's no small thing. Credit to my dad for that. I don't know if he listens to these, but if you do, good job, Dad.
So the nerd tried to take out the jock. Actually, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Jeremy Piven's character from Old School.
That's you get a bell for that.
This is me leaving. Yeah, whatever, nerd. Hey, it's
the only thing we were missing in that whole
younger brother, Cheese.
We just needed a tank to show up and really mess stuff up. Where were you, Will Ferrell?
Maintain our composure.
Actually, funny story.
Yeah,
because my dad actually was. He was basically a rocket scientist, dude. He went to the Air Force Academy and studied multiple languages and did trigonometry and quantum physics. And it was an officer doing rocketry type stuff, intense stuff. So but he also played football, basketball, rugby. He boxed, so that was my dad. He was the jock.
What happened to you, man? Jeez.
I don't know. I'm a disappointment. I made peace with it 10 years ago. I'm a podcaster. That's what I do.
There you go. Are
you proud of me now, Dad? Are you proud of me now?
Let's do the Bonner B the story up in your neck of the woods.
Yay. All right. So speaking of things that don't make sense, but should be really easy mysteries to solve, I should put that X-Files file back on. Hold on.
Yeah. So while you're pulling that up,
show the audio?
Sure. This is the Bonner B, which is a Hagedorn Media owned property. So all these different papers that purport to be local and on the surface seem like they are all owned by the same conglomerate and run by the ghost of Dwayne Hagedorn, who reportedly had an office off of Neater at one point. Anyway, this is an article entitled...
I'll kill you.
That was another... Oh, by the way, I was also corrected by another producer for saying entitled when I said, hey, go check out episode 19 of this show and so you can see what the Idaho Statesman is all about. And that show is entitled Jansport Inferno. This particular producer said, it's not entitled, it's titled Mr. Grammar Nazi. And I said, you know what? You're right. So this article is titled, The BCRCC Declares Clark Fork Seat Vacant. And it is as read by a voice from 11 Labs because it is from a print newspaper.
The Bonner County Republican Central Committee removed Jensen Heisel from his seat as the Clark Fork Precinct Committeeman in executive session Friday. In a press release, newly appointed BCRCC Chair Roger Rudd said the committee determined Heisel was not a qualified elector, as defined in Idaho Code, and declared the seat vacant. Rudd said Clark Fork community members raised questions about Heisel's residency and whether the address on his candidate filing aligned with where he lived. To be a qualified elector as a precinct committeeman, a person must be a registered voter in the precinct for at least 6 months prior to the election. Heisel, who received the 54.11% votes to defeat incumbent Dmitry Borisov in the May 19th primary election, owns property on 9th Avenue in Clark Fork, but told the Daily Bee that he rents that property out. The address on 9th Avenue is the one that Heisel listed on his candidate filing and voter registration as his residency. Heisel told the Daily Bee he keeps personal belongings and furniture at a house on First Avenue in Clark Fork, which is owned by his parents. In the executive session, Rudd said that Heisel acknowledged that the residence on his voter registration is not where he lives, and the committee determined he did not meet the qualified elector requirements. Rudd said that the BCRCC will appoint a new qualified elector for the Clark Fork precinct at a future meeting. Scott Herndon, who was recently elected the Republican nominee for the District 1 state Senate seat, said Friday that the matter has been sent to the Bonner County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. He said a false residency on a voter registration form can constitute felony perjury under Idaho Code. Heisel said in his response to the challenge that he has acted in good faith throughout the entire process and requested that the challenge be denied on a county level.
So this is the town of Clark Fork, which is up off the northeast end of Lake Pend Oreille, and this is your neck of the woods.
Yeah, it's where I live. So, whatever. I'm doxing myself, but I don't care. Hold on. I pulled up something else for this. This can be good. I don't know if you ever watched Sci-Fi Channel, but if you did, you're going to recognize this theme song. Yeah. The Outer Limits. So,
there is nothing wrong with your television.
Dear listeners / producers,
do not attempt to adjust the picture.
We have another mystery to solve.
Controlling transmission.
A real, genuine whodunit.
We will bring up the box.
The question is, does Jensen Heisel live or not live where he's supposed to live in order to be a precinct committeeman?
Will control the horizontal.
And that's it.
Doesn't seem very difficult to prove, but then again, maybe Sheriff Norris is living in that house off 9th.
Hey, maybe he's driving that house off 9th.
You know what? They're thinking about opening up a Raising Cane's in Clark Fork.
We repeat.
Oh, I swear, if a Raising Cane's goes up in the next couple of months, we're going to know our lives are a lie. This whole thing is a sham.
Simulation.
It's a simulation. Oh my God. The Raising Cane's must be like the nodes from which shit operates or something. I don't know. I don't know the technical terms, but here's the skinny. All right, that sucks. I thought this was I forgot. The old school's just narrative.
There's the signpost up ahead. Next stop, the Twilight Zone.
Dude, so I nailed it with the X-Files file, not so much with the Outer Limits. I thought it'd be cool. Didn't work as well as I had thought in my mind. But really, that's it. That's the long and the short of it. So it's a huge controversy, supposedly, depending on who you ask.
Yeah, all 12 people who live up there are in a tizzy.
There are dozens of us. Dozens. We will not stand for this. And poor Heisel's over here just like...
You know how much rejection I face every day?
It's making headlines. The fact that this is a headline is kind of goofy, but okay. And if you listen to the article again, I'm more of a reader than I am a listener when it comes to like actually reading an article. I don't do books on tape. I can't do it. I got to read it to really process it. But for you guys who are listen to the 11 Labs telling of it, or find the article yourself. And if you read it and you know what to look for, there's 3 or 4 things that you notice right off the bat. And it's just such classic mainstream media, yellow journalism, combined with the exactly what you'd expect responses of the NPCs who live and vote and drive near us. It's crazy. So
what do they drive on?
Primary election happens. Please don't take our roads.
Please don't take our road.
They drive on the things we couldn't possibly ever build if you didn't steal my money and threaten me with my house. That's the flat surface that we can't figure out how to build without extortion. But that's another topic for another time, or for every time. But I digress. Primaries happened a couple weeks ago. In the primaries, we vote for precinct committeemen at the county level. Every county has a precinct committee. The precinct committees are important because precinct committee men, or women, I guess, if you're into that sort of thing, have a say in ultimately who ends up on the ballot for primaries. Now, they don't get to tell you that you can't be on the ballot for primaries, but without the endorsement of the precinct committee in the county for the district you are going to represent, you're going to have a really hard time of it. Having the Republican or the Democrat brand behind you makes a big difference. They also pass resolutions, and in general, they just they represent the people and they represent the party brand, and they are supposed to kind of move the ball forward and they also help run elections and do ballot stuffing, or not ballot stuffing, but like campaign stuffing parties. And they walk neighborhoods, they knock doors. They're the eyes and the ears and the feet and the knees. So it's the lowest kind of level you usually start with to get involved into politics, but it also is an incredibly and surprisingly at times influential thing. So it matters. Anyways, the guy in my district, Clark Fork, I didn't vote for him, but I don't know him. I voted for Dmitry Borisov, the guy who lost, because I prefer Dmitry, but that's okay. No biggie. This dude who won, Jensen Heisel, after he won, some complaints were filed that he's representing the district that I'm in, the Clark Fork district, but he doesn't live here, or at least the address doesn't match with where he lives. So the Bonner County Precinct Committee looks it up and goes, yeah, this doesn't match. This doesn't track. There's stuff going on here that doesn't make any sense. And they investigated it and decided they didn't like what they found. And on Friday, just this last Friday, they voted to disqualify Jensen Heisel from holding the seat. So now the seat is open, and the precinct committee will now get together and figure out who they want to fill the slot. That'll probably take a week or two. They have to figure out A, who's dumb enough to do it, and B, if they like him enough or her enough to do it, and so on and so forth. So that'll be a process. But the way the press is showing this, it's so obviously against the BRCC or BCRCC, which is still tentatively run by mostly true conservatives. So the press hates them. So if you read this article, the way it's framed is the BCRCC, Bonner County Precinct Committee, Bonner Republican, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, they're the bad guys for making this an issue. Meanwhile, poor Jensen Heisel is the victim for not following the law. And it's interesting that in this article, 2 different Heisel-owned properties are mentioned, one on 9th Street and one on 10th Street or something. One where his parents live, and one that he rents out to someone else. He does not live at either of these properties. And one of them he used for his address to file and to run. Curiously omitted is where he actually lives.
Yeah.
This should be super easy to solve in 5 minutes. Do you live in the district? Yes or no? Show us your address. Like, ta-da! Mystery solved. But nope. Instead, the press writes a whole article about it, framing him as the victim, talking about how he owns a bunch of property in Clark Fork, but we never hear about where he actually lives.
So to what end?
To make him the victim and the Bonner County Republican Precinct Committee the bad guys.
So the establishment wants this guy in there? Is that the conclusion?
I don't know if that's the case, but I do know that the establishment and the mainstream media definitely want to take any opportunity to paint Scott Herndon and Rudd and the conservative-led BCRCC as the bad guys any chance they get. So they do this in Kootenai County all the time too. The Coeur d'Alene Press did this with the Kootenai County Precinct Committee all the time. Things that were ceremonial is not the word I want, but procedural. Things that were bylaws, things that you got to do a certain way. Well, if the Kootenai County Precinct Committee would address those issues, and as they rightly should, then the Coeur d'Alene Press would report it as if they were the bullies, as if like, how dare they bring up these issues of decorum or these issues of laws and bylaw, and how dare they, and whoever they were going after, if they were going after somebody who was a North Idaho Republican, NIR person that the press loves, well then they got painted as the victim, and the Kootenai County Precinct Committee got painted as the bullies. And the same thing is happening here. Now, I don't know Jensen Heisel personally. I don't know his politics. I don't know if he's a good guy or if he's an asshole or what. What I do know is this should be simple to solve. If the guy lives in his district and he has legal residence, this should be a non-issue. If he doesn't, he can't hold the seat. Legally, he can't hold the seat. But man, people are outraged. Like, you get on Facebook and people are like, how could the BCRCC do this? This is awful. We don't even live in a democracy anymore.
Yeah. Right.
And then you got a few and they're the majority. And it's mainly, again, it falls into 2 categories. So the people who are outraged by this fall into one of 2 categories. Category 1 is the people who voted for Jensen Heisel, and they're just mad that their boy can't sit there now. And okay, I get that. Category 2 are the NPCs who clearly didn't even read the article. They just read the headline, or they read parts of the article and just don't know how to, read the lines. And they're just outraged by it.
That makes me see.
But then there's the third demographic who's like me, who I can't resist, and I get on there and I'm like, hey, so 3 things to think about. None of you are thinking about. Like, this should be easy to solve. Where does he live? And then it's that easy. Legally, it has to be this way. So, like the guy or not, what are the point of the rules?
So that makes me think, well, there's a fourth category then. The fourth category, it might even be the biggest one. They're actually fake. These comments are fake. They're not from real people. It's just phony baloney.
Oh, you think?
Algo.
Really? You think?
Yeah.
You think the bots are alive and well on the press article posts?
I think they're alive and well on every post that happens on all of social media. I think most of social media is fake and gay.
Well, I don't disagree with you there. I think locally the odds of there being
maybe less,
maybe
bots less
that move the
percentage.
needle
Yeah.
Up here, much less. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
we're talking
maybe so.
local Clark Fork politics, man.
Yeah, maybe I guess in an instance like that, like you just can't do too many fake profiles because like the communities are small enough to where most people know most people, and so how many hairy paratestes can possibly be commenting on these things, and then coming across like someone who didn't even do anything besides read the headline. It's also really sad to consider that there are real people out there who they do just read the headline and then they do mash their keyboards and like, okay. Really? You're just really that lame and fake and gay? You're fake and gay, but you're real? Ay.
Yeah, it's. I'm sure that it's a mixture of everything, but I would say fewer bots than anything else, if any. Truly, I mean, you look at the comment section, and I think it's pretty obvious that it's mostly people who live here who are just, NPCs are going to NPC. They're not that different from bots in a lot of ways.
Distinction without a difference.
They have blood coursing through their veins and pumping hearts, but beyond that, they're basically automatons. But it just blows my mind how we could be so outraged over something that it's procedural. That's it. It is strictly procedural. Like, how are we pissed off over this? And also, how is this a mystery? But there we are. That's the world we live in.
Yeah, it is.
So whoever fills the slot, they're going to come in already in a situation where there's going to be at least 2 more press articles about it. And whoever fills the slot is going to be accused of who knows what, backroom deals, or going to be accused of being a puppet for the current regime, or, this whole thing was orchestrated, and they better be ready.
Well, you know what I'm ready for? I'm ready for mid-show and a little value for value. How about you?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Value for value, as mentioned a couple times throughout the first part of this program, is the model that this show runs on. No ID is a value for value proposition, which means there are no advertisers and no sponsors other than, of course, Raising Cane's. Yes, Raising Cane's off Highway 95 at Niter.
So good, you'll want to crash in anytime.
Look for the wrecked Tundra. Oh man. But with 5-star service, we'll pull you from your rig so you can get in there and taste our delicious chicken. Value for value means that if you enjoy our product, you return value to the program. We try to bring value to you with our show. It comes out every Thursday. There is no barrier to entry, and there's no subscriber-only content or paywalls or live reads or sponsors or any of the other rigmarole that comes with most products in this space. It's just the value we try to provide with the show, deconstruction of the mainstream presentations of Idaho's news, people, and politics. And if you find the program valuable, if it's a valuable addition to your week, then please return value to us with your time, your talent, or your treasure. And you've heard a little bit of time and talent thus far. People sending in articles, people sending in messages, that which they know about, stuff they caught on, stuff you guys caught on previous shows that you would like to bring to our attention, stuff we got wrong, stuff we got right. Anytime you head to noidshow.com and click the contact button, or send us texts or send us emails or any other form of contact with any of that sort of stuff, it is a time and talent value return, and that is greatly appreciated. It also means telling people about the show. It's a huge value return, is taking the time to send people the link and otherwise let them know that this program exists and they might like it. or even if they don't like it, it'll at least help them stay up on what's going on up in Idaho.
I find it's best to just lead with this. Listen to this awesome podcast, and if you don't, then you don't love me. Or the other way that I prefer is, and if you don't, then I don't love you.
Emotional blackmail is absolutely value returned. Not
toxic at all.
I do a newsletter that comes out once a week and just previewing the topics of that week's episode. And you can sign up for that newsletter. They're also on noidshow.com. This is all at noidshow.com.
And you guys should, because the art alone, just that all on its own is worth the price of admission, which is free, by the way, for those of you, who like to leech off of our magnificent talents. The price is free. For you executive producers, that's a different story. But the art alone is worth it. I'm kidding. I love you all. I'm just feeling spicy.
Speaking of treasure and executive producers, you are all producers of this program.
Treasure?
Yep.
You find that treasure on
treasure.
meter?
If you can measure the treasure, there are measures for treasure at noidshow.com. There, like we mentioned earlier, there are some classic no ID amounts. If you'd like to become an executive producer of the show by returning value in the form of treasure, that can be $1, it could be $1 million. Value means many different things to many different people, and we love numerology. And as such, let's do this week's executive producers, of whom there are dos. And the first one is numerology, $33 from...
Oh, hey-oh. We were just talking about the 33.
Repeated executive producer Jack Cramer is back with $33. And his note says, catching the X in especially. That's what tickled Jack's funny bone from last week's episode. And that was a especially donation. So this is for you, Jack.
Especially, then it could be especially hard.
As professor of political science, Jacqueline Kettler.
That is a university professor saying especially repeatedly on the National Treasure NPR.
Especially, then it could be especially hard.
Especially.
You need an especial kind of baseball mitt to catch that kind of language.
So that was another thing that Matt Todd mentioned, was he said that Jackie, as he called her, has been on his show a few times, and he enjoys her as a person, and I'm sure she actually does sound like a really nice lady. I'm just taking exception to, or at least pointing out, the notion that a university professor, that you've achieved that level of the academic ladder, and you're saying especially, man, it's just not a good look.
Yeah, I got nothing. I agree.
Right, totally. Well, Jack's got something, and he had $33, and we thank you, Jack, for that. And we are as annoyed by it as you are. Yep. And next up is, I can't remember. This might be maybe only like the second or third female executive producer, and this is from Katie Prescott, who sent us a shiny schmeckle, which is... that is $9.99. And Katie said, if Boise can give $200,000 to some bum for, quote, severance, I can send a shiny schmeckle into the No ID show.
Now that is sound logic. Katie Prescott, way to go.
Yeah, Katie.
Very sound logic. Yeah.
And
nice. You get a bell, a couple of bells.
That is excellent. Excellent.
Thank you, Katie.
I love the way her brain works. That what she thought to do upon hearing that was send us some cash. That's awesome. And so take note, by the way, that is between a dude named Jeff. He clipped that in his Cliperoni pepperoni, and Katie Prescott sent us a shiny schmeckle. So obviously that resonated.
Yeah, well, it should, and I'm glad it did. It's one of those things that most people, and NPCs, man, they don't know, they don't care, and they're not interested in learning about it. Bureaucrats and people who work for the government, they are heroes, tireless heroes and leaders. But when you really break it down, most of the time, they're just people just like us who make way too much money, providing very little value to society, and typically just telling you what you can and can't do with your own stuff, while also stealing your stuff.
I like your taxes.
But don't forget, society would collapse without them.
I like your taxes.
There you go. Keep your eyes off my taxes. Tee tee. Oh.
I'm happy to be a bureaucrat.
That's Lori Wolf. That is Lori Wolf, who does budget stuff for the state of Idaho with the King Governor.
It hurts. It physically hurts to hear that. I'm trying to see if I have a soundbite that really puts into perspective. Nah, I don't have anything for this. I probably do. Something about killing tyrants, but oh well.
Oh, I'm shocked.
Okay. Go to noidshow.com. Go to noidshow.com. If you'd like to become an executive producer, there are clickable buttons for all that stuff, or for any form of time and talent return. So thank you very kindly, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's time then for second half of show. Which means
us,
DJ Paul.
Oh wait, are we taking a potty break?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have decided. It's not a song I had originally planned for, ever, actually. But after listening to the X-Files mystery with Bob Norris and the Outer Limits mystery with Clark Fork, I think this makes sense. It's just people who don't know which way is up. So here we go.
I don't know where I ended up last night. I don't know why I can't find a light. I don't know where I left my keys. Was it with you or were you with me? Yes, my suit is tight and the light shines bright on me. It's Friday night in the club, celebrating that I'm me. I don't know where I ended up last night. I don't know why I can't find a light. I don't know where I left my keys. Was it with you or were you with me? Saw you in the corner, damn. I saw you twice. It's the liquor that's watching you straight from my eyes. Nice and slow, will come over to you. Tell you all the things that you wanna hear from me too. You got all the right tools. I'm the one that's lost here. You say you spend the day on the beach and we can just play. I'm sure you're really nice, but I can't remember your name. And I kinda hate myself for even being in this place. I don't know where I ended up last night. I don't know why I can't find a light. I don't know where I left my keys. Was it with you or were you with me?
I'm so sick of this, it's ridiculous. Think my liver is about to give in. It's pretty imminent. Walls closing in, space limited. Anything to fill this hole of emptiness. Now I'm on to this way to cultivate a fake confidence. Now it's on again. Drop a Kleiner pen. I just wanna know the stress is gonna end. Love the way she make me say again. Though it's not a mental, I'm honoring. Fly away and stop and then I start again. Steady nodding, man. I'm a goner if I don't find what I be searching all up in. All the bottles and pretty models and just a way to leave and step up out of me. Drink or smoke or needle in the artery. Tell my honesty and my modesty disappear while I am on this odyssey. All I wanna do is see it clear. Trying to get to anywhere but here.
I don't know where I ended up last night. I don't know why I can't find a light. I don't know where I left my keys. Was it with you or were you with me? See, I am not wearing the clothes that I left with, and this is not the bed I made before breakfast. I don't know why. I don't know. I
Did I hear gift a gab in there?
You did.
Yeah.
My man. This is why we're friends, Scott. Nice job. Damn, man. I love you. You are at least my third best friend.
At least? That means I might even be number 2?
Dude, you rank top 3. Take it while you can get it.
Yowza.
I know a lot of people.
Hey, you do? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm shocked.
All right. Oh, yeah. All right. I am ready.
Yeah. Put on the gloves.
Let's go.
You're going to need them. Going to bloody some knuckles today.
I'm wrapping my fist with white tape screw gloves.
Hell yeah.
One bare knuckle.
Put it in your mouthpiece.
All right. Someone's rubbing my shoulders.
Oh, good.
Let's
go. You got a bucket to spit into? You might need it. Do you remember all the riots in 2020? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
I cannot forget, no matter how hard I try.
Well, there were a lot, and some of them were pretty big, and a lot of them were ironic to the max because it was a lot of imported, like bust-in white people.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to represent Black Lives Matter while they set black neighborhoods and black businesses on fire. You know, things that make sense if you don't think about it. So fast forward to now, and anybody who actually still remembers or thinks it's talk-worthy, which is very, very, way too few of us. And there's an interesting question that's been asked in a recent poll from it's a presidential election study in 2024. Now, why they asked this in the presidential election study, I do not know. But hey, there's a lot of things I don't know. And the question is, they ask respondents to estimate in dollar terms the amount of damage that was done by the George Floyd / Black Lives Matter protests in 2020. And a really interesting thing occurs. But before I tell you the interesting thing, first, how much damage in dollar terms do you think was done?
And this is in cities coast to coast, like the total amount of damage and destruction, property destruction?
Yeah, as far as I can tell, it doesn't narrow it down to the St. Louis stuff or to the Wisconsin stuff. It just says the poll was just says caused by the George Floyd / Black Lives Matter protests in 2020. So it is just in 2020 though, but it is not exclusive to like St. Louis and Wisconsin.
Right. Yeah. So that's going to be, I'm sure it's based on like insurance claim data, I'm sure is where the number comes from. I'm going to say probably, let's say like 1.4 billion.
Oh, the man is good. I'm going to give it to you. I mean, you're off by a 0.4, but whatever.
What's the number cited?
You're way in the minority though. Okay. So the number is over $1 billion, but
okay,
it hovers around $1 billion. It says over $1 billion. So I'm going to give it to you because I'm cool. But an interesting thing occurs when you break it down by political affiliation. And they break it down 3 ways: liberal, moderate, and conservative. What percentage out of 100% of liberals got that right?
I actually think it goes the other way. Because there's been a lot of sort of counterintuitive stuff in this particular game, and also because I'm using that as my jumping off point, I'm like, well, probably lefties would overestimate, not underestimate, by a lot, and I don't know, 85% of them overestimated, something like that.
Boo this man!
Oh, no. Okay, I got it.
So horribly wrong.
Oh, all right.
In fact, you outthought yourself, Scott. You outthought yourself in the wrong direction. No, sir. 94% of liberal respondents responded that they thought the damage was less than $1 billion.
Okay, all right. Got that wrong.
And while that may not seem like important or significant, when you break it down further, we're going to go like this. 28% of liberals responded, 28% that they thought the damage was less than $1 million. 41% of liberal respondents said they thought it was in between $1 million and $10 million.
Jeez.
So 69%, nice, think it was less than $10 million.
That's got to be a function of the media and their algo feeding them. They're just not seeing
damn
it.
you.
Yeah.
That was going to be my follow-up question.
Yeah.
You suck, but you're so awesome. That was part 3. You jumped the gun, asshole.
Shit.
You're the worst. Why do I even do this? It's like I've lost all purpose in my life here. This is ridiculous. Why do I even do this? I try and I find cool things and I set it up for you and you can't even let me set it up. You just got to knock it down before I even set it up. You're like my 1-year-old when I'm trying to build blocks for him. He just knocks everything down and he's all adorable and cute and smart and just doesn't care about my feelings. Yeah, no, so that was damn it, man. That was the punchline. Okay, so when they broke it down politically, 15%, but conservatives actually didn't do tons better. Only 15% of conservatives said it was over $1 billion. So
everyone was underestimating
it was more of an equal spread though. Only 11% of conservatives said less than $1 million. 30% of conservatives said 1 to 10 million. 30% said 10 to 100 million. 13% said 100 million to $1 billion, and 15%, this is all conservatives now I'm talking about, said over $1 billion. So conservatives did better by an order of 2.5. I mean, 2.5 times better than the 6% versus 15%. But it's just wild. Moderates weren't much better. Moderates were 7%. And then the punchline here, there was a follow-up question and a follow-up graph to this. And what they did was they measured the level at which the level of trust placed in the mainstream media. Mm-hmm. How much do you trust journalism in America? And I kid you not, in complete direct correlation, the farther to the left you go, and as you identify as a liberal, and those people who said they thought the damage was less than $1 million, on a scale of 1 to 6, their trust level, their average trust level, 4.7.
Yeah.
Then on the opposite end, it ratchets down. It goes then to 4.3 for those people who thought 1 million to 10 million trust level. That's their trust level. Then trust level of 3.8 for people who guessed 10 million to 100 million in damages. Then trust level of 3.3 for those who said 100 million to $1 billion in damages. And then trust level of 3.2 for those who responded that damages had to have been over $1 billion. Yeah. So it directly correlates with your lack of trust or your trust in the modern mainstream media.
Yeah.
And how you got the answer right or wrong.
Yeah. Well, and a couple things stand out. For one, the percentages of quote conservatives or Republicans that you just read off, man, just goes to show you how much of that set consumes mainstream media too. 30% guessed $1 to $10 million. 30%.
Yeah, in one night. I don't know how you could do that. You watch for one night. If you just watched the 1 hour Fox News special, even on what was going on, and you saw any of the video footage, you would have to immediately know that's hundreds of millions of dollars in damage that's going on right now in St. Louis alone. But man, when I saw that come through and I found that stuff, I just I saw some of it come through into an email for me because I subscribe to different emails that bring this sort of information to me. And then I did a little digging on my own and it was just like, oh, I got to share this with Scott.
I mean, and the other part too, where the low end of the trust scale is over 3 out of 6. So in other words, you trust mainstream media more than half the time, and you're 50%, the skeptic. 50%.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
It's amazing that, so I always use the term that the more you get to understand kind of the average human being who lives out there, the more you question how they don't drive themselves into the ditch on the way home every day. Like, how do they manage to stay on the road? But we really solved that mystery today as well. They don't. They just crash into Raising Cane's signs.
There you Well, just think if it wasn't
Don't get a bell for that. That was pretty damn good.
If it wasn't for the state and the roads, there'd be nothing to careen off of into a ditch.
How could we crash into Raising Cane's wonderful chicken house if we didn't have roads?
Let's listen to some of the trustworthy, more than half the time, say the skeptic, mainstream media, and how they covered the KCRCC electing a new chair, the Brent Regan.
Oh, man, that's so gross. I don't know if I can take any more of that, but all right, for you, dear listeners, I will endure this.
All right, here's Idaho
so
NPR quote covering it.
They are just breathless with excitement. This is such a big. Okay, I have to preface this. I'm sorry. It's a big deal, dude. No, this is a big deal because so for 2 years we will have very conservative legislators from coming out of districts 3, 4, and 5. Kootenai County encompasses districts 3, 4, and 5, and a grand total of I want to say 10 legislators, between the House and the Senate. It's a lot. It's and for 15, 16 years, districts 3, 4, and 5 have been pretty good and actually truly conservative, and it's been pretty okay. Not perfect, not great, but they at least are card-carrying conservatives for the most part. That changes now. We get 2 more years of that because the old Kootenai County Republican Precinct Committee put forth true conservative candidates for this election cycle, and for this midterm election cycle, conservative candidates carried the day. But in 2 years, when the Kootenai County Precinct Committee puts forth candidates for the primaries, which again, primaries are where it's at in Idaho, unfortunately, they will put their thumb on the scale for the establishmentarian candidates. And I guess we who care about liberty, I'm not a conservative because conservatives lose me on a lot of liberty topics themselves, but they're closer than the establishment. Conservatives lost Kootenai County, and that very well means that conservatives may have lost districts 3, 4, and 5 to the tune of about a dozen legislators for what could be decades. It's a big deal, and it's a bad deal because you had the NIR, the North Idaho Republicans, with shit tons of money and support and establishment connections, who are the leftists, cosplaying as Republicans, cosplaying as conservatives, who were on the other side, and they have now taken over the official Republican brand in Kootenai County as well. So not only do they have their own NIR backing, but they have the Republican brand in their hands as well. So it's all over but the crying for potentially decades, and it could swing Idaho leftward pretty hard for decades. It's a big deal. And so, yeah, NPR and the press and all of the mainstream apparatus mouthpieces, they are just breathlessly excited about this because life as we know it in Idaho will shift.
The state Republican Party is getting a big gift from an outgoing far-right political leader in the Panhandle. Here's James Dawson to explain.
On Saturday, the Kootenai County Republican Central Committee voted to give half of its bank account, or about $64,000, to its counterparts at the state level. It said in a Facebook post, the money will be used to defeat a ballot initiative to restore abortion rights in Idaho. As first reported by the Coeur d'Alene Press, the gift comes after moderates made big gains in last week's precinct elections, including toppling Chairman Brent Regan. Boise State political science professor Jacqueline Kettler says these sorts of things happen across the country from time to time.
Current office holders or leadership will kind of...
It's the same lady, by the way. This is the especially lady.
Current office holders or leadership will kind of take actions potentially to reduce the power or possible influence of those that may come after them.
In addition to cutting its bank account in half, the Kootenai County Republican Central Committee also voted to close some of its social media accounts, which Kettler says could limit the reach of new members. The committee is set to vote on its new leadership tonight in Coeur d'Alene.
And the establishment won on those votes as well. So the new chairman, Ron Jacobson, is an establishment guy. The co-chair, the vice chair, a bunch of the officers who also get to vote, by the way, they also get to vote. So basically what was a 37-37 tie between NIR members and the actual conservatives, and then there were 4 independent, quote unquote independents. Really, all 4 of them are fucking crazies. They're crazy. I know of all of them. So supposedly they're like the swing votes, but really what they are is a bunch of pedantic morons who will make sure that the NIR faction get their way every time, because they'll try to cut deals that they think they have the power to cut, and then they lose. This is what happened actually for chairman too. And then they lose and they get their asses kicked. And what ends up happening is the establishment wins. Because dude, it's so retarded.
And those are the moderates. So you hear how
the quote unquote moderates,
right? So the far right, the
people.
far right lost, and then moderates. Right. Now, what's now I just did real quick on the internets. Define moderate. The first definition that comes up: reasonable, restrained, or not excessive. Literally, the first word of the definition is reasonable.
Yeah, well, these are the people who think it's reasonable to take your home if you don't pay them tribute. Yeah, reasonable.
Yeah.
A 3% increase in your taxes is reasonable, but a 3% decrease in their budget is murder.
You're bashing it into the ground. Reasonable. You're eviscerating it. It's an all-out attack.
These are the people who protect the status quo because the status quo works for them. It doesn't matter how asinine or ridiculous the laws on the books are. They're not interested in changing those laws. They're interested in adding to them. But, reasonable. With the elections last a couple nights ago, they picked the NIR types picked up like half a dozen more votes because you don't have to be a precinct committeeman to be the chairman of the committee. So like Ron Jacobson, he wasn't a PC, but he got voted in. And he gets a vote, and so on and so forth, and down the line. So NIR, they actually picked up like 6 or 7 more votes that night. So now it's more like 44 to 37, give or take, and then 4 crazies in the mix who think they have power, but they really aren't worth anything now because NIR has all the votes they need forever.
You'll have to forgive me and try not to just drive your car off of the no roads and careen into a ditch, because I'm going to play the Coeur d'Alene Press's coverage of this. And I want you to hear more of the mainstream apparatus and how they're presenting this. And it gives a little bit more details on the man you just mentioned, Ron Jacobson. It's the Coeur d'Alene Press, so it's a print article as read by that same voice from 11 Labs.
For the first time in a decade, the KCRCC has a new leader. It voted to choose former Post Falls Mayor Ron Jacobson as chair, picking him over precinct committeeman and state senator Ben Toes by a margin of 63-9. Before the vote, Jacobson told the assembled precinct committeemen that he believes division is harming the Republican Party and that they can find common ground on most issues. "I'm tired of infighting," he said. "I'm tired of separation." Jacobson served 3 terms on the Post Falls.
"I'm also tired of you Post Falls residents showing your faces. Now mask up."
Jacobson served 3 terms on the Post Falls City Council and 3 more as mayor.
By the way, I did see some people going like, well, yeah, but Mayor Jacobson, he later apologized and said that he was wrong on the masks issue. Man, don't you guys get it? Who in the world thinks they have the authority over another human being in such fashion? These are dangerous people. Just wait for the next opportunity that Ron Jacobson has to be wrong about something.
Jacobson served 3 terms on the Post Falls City Council and 3 more as mayor. In November, he lost his bid for a 4th mayoral term to Randy Westland, who is a precinct committeeman, and nominated Jacobson for chair. Thursday's vote came a little more than a week after longtime chair Brent Regan lost his precinct to Rick Montandon, opening the door to the possibility of new leadership. Though the party rules allow for Republicans who are not precinct committeemen to be placed in leadership positions, no one nominated Regan on Thursday night. Candidates backed by Kootenai Freedom Caucus, a PAC bankrolled by the KCRCC, secured 37 seats, while candidates supported by rival PAC North Idaho Republicans picked up 33 seats. The remaining 4 seats on the Central Committee were won by Republican candidates unaffiliated with either group. Jacobson said, "The Central Committee can achieve great things through cooperation. You're much more successful when you play as a team, as opposed to fighting with each other," Jacobson said.
Mm-hmm. We should play as a team.
Now that we've won, let's come together and agree.
Yep. They're just the reasonable ones.
There's a phrase I always like to use for the quote unquote moderates, or the reasonable, as they like to call themselves. Basically, the way they frame every conversation when you really listen is, can't we have a civil discussion about my plans to have you thrown in a cage if you don't pay for what I want? Why are we so divided? This division is your fault, they say, as they pass more laws. Like, it drives me nuts when people talk about division and then blame people like me for being the ones who are divisive, when I'm the person who would never do anything. Like, I'm not the person trying to exert my will on somebody else. So yes. I'm basically, it's benign. I'm a negative, or a benign, or a zero, or whatever you want to call it, where like, I'm not the one aggressing other people. So there's nothing divisive. I don't do anything divisive. People who want less control over your life are the non-divisive ones. The thing that is divisive is the positive thing. And by positive, I don't mean like it's a good moral thing. I mean like, negative action, positive action, meaning like you either do something or you don't do something, or you do the opposite of something. So when you're the one doing the act, that is the divisive thing. When you're the one saying, hey, I have an idea, let's do this. And guess what? We'll steal money. We'll take it from everybody else. And if we have enough people who agree with us, then it's legit and we can take it. And I go, no, I don't want to do that. And they go, why are you being divisive?
That's right. Yeah. We come for you, and then you object, and then you're the divisive one.
Yep.
If you just stop coming for me, this whole problem would be solved.
They point a gun at us and they say, give us your rights. And we just go, no. And they go, is that a threat? Are you threatening us?
That's pretty much it.
Well, I wasn't, but.
And then half of our fellow citizens are like, but what about the roads?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I know things got a little serious around here for a minute, but it's been on my mind pretty hard for the last few weeks, because it's a bummer, man, and it's going to change things, and it's going to be almost impossible to ever reclaim it. And I'm gonna put it out there, man. A big part of it was the Candlelight Christian Fellowship crazies. That church and their people did this because they spurred the infighting in the conservative wing of things. They're the ones who started it. They fanned to the flames, and they cost a number of good conservative people their seats. And they even came out and endorsed people who were NIR people, just out of spite because they had personal beefs with other. It just a very classic example of why conservatives ultimately tend to lose a lot. Yeah, because you can't see the forest for the trees, and you can't understand there's a difference between tactics and strategy, and they both have to work in tandem, or else you lose. And you have to be able to see the 10-foot view, the 1,000-foot view, and the 10,000-foot view, or else you lose. You have to put your ego aside, or else you lose. Because leftists are collectivists, and collectivists do work in lockstep, and they're not smart people, but they're cunning and they're clever, and they know well enough that if they work together and they have the money, they win. So, goodbye, Kootenai County. Well, I'm so glad I live up here, Scott.
And then once they win,
Bonner County,
they can totally, in a non-divisive way, come for you.
And they will.
Right.
They will.
Okay. Let's do one before we wrap here. Let's do for a little levity, because I find a lot of this to be hilarious. Let's do a follow-up on the so-called ICE trial. That one, this is in Spokane, but we had our boots on the ground report a couple shows ago from the inside of the courthouse there, and some of the amusing goings on as all of the commie crazies gather for. Well, you'll hear the names.
Breaking news now in a high-profile story Krem 2 News has been following for months now. Just hours ago, a jury reached a verdict in the case against 3 defendants charged in connection with last summer's anti-ICE protest in Spokane.
Krem 2's Regan Gallo was in the federal courtroom today as the sentences were handed down. She has more now from downtown Spokane.
Well, in a packed courtroom, tears were seen on several faces as a federal jury returned a guilty verdict. Now, for Justice for All, Jack Archer and Bajan Mawawala, they were found.
Let's play those one more time.
Walla 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 Ball?
Yeah. Justice for All.
Is this guy an Arrested Development character?
Bob Loblaw's Loblog.
Yeah, is he related to Bob Boblaw?
So I looked up, all three of these seem to be legit names. Justice, and then it's Forall. And I'm just relying on what the internet spits back to me, so who the hell knows? But the internet was like, well, we don't see any public records that would indicate that name has been changed. So maybe it's actually a birth name. Here they are again.
The jury returned a guilty verdict. Now, for Justice for All, Jack Archer and Bajan Mawawala, they were found.
What's Jack Archer doing in there? Come on, buddy. Yeah, one of these things is not like the other. He's the plant. He's the spook.
A guilty.
He's the one who gets to cut a deal when they end up in prison, and he walks.
Now,
good job, Agent Archer.
Now, for Justice for All, Jack Archer and Bajan Mawawala, they were found guilty of conspiring to impede or injure officers during Spokane's downtown ICE protest last June. Several people, including the three defendants, showed disappointment and tears following the verdict. And this comes after a 2-week trial, and the jury had been in deliberation since Wednesday afternoon. Now, Bajan Mawawala's father spoke to a crowd of supporters afterwards, sharing his reaction.
What we fought for, what my son is standing for, what justice is standing for, what Jack is standing for, are the freedoms that separate this country.
Isn't it hilarious when commies pretend to care about freedoms?
I wish that they cared this much about, again, all the same list I always roll off here. Is like, you're this passionate about people breaking the law when it comes to illegal immigration, you're like, yeah, this is about freedom.
Freedom.
Like, okay, I can see a side of that conversation. I can. I'm a libertarian. I believe in the free movement of peoples, and
yeah, me too.
Borders can be arbitrary lines.
People
and
don't care about freedom. That's all. Of course, I see the
but
point.
You don't
too.
care about
baloney.
freedom. It's disingenuous. Yeah, and if you gave a shit at all about actual freedom or anything that you think that you're saying here, that you would be right next to me as I tell them, no, you can't take my house and you can't tax me out of it, and no, get your hands out of my pockets.
What?
And I'll travel where I want. Thank you very much, and also don't tax me, bro.
But what about the roads?
Nope.
Are the freedoms that
well, without the roads, we couldn't have illegal immigration. So,
are the freedoms that separate this country from the dictatorships and the banana republics of this planet.
Now, the Spokane Mayor, Lisa Brown, said in a statement today, since the federal charges were filed, I have maintained that this prosecution was politically motivated. It was meant to make an example out of people who disagreed with federal immigration policy. Councilwoman Kate Tellis also appealed.
Didn't they like actually physically impede federal agents? I mean, right? That's is really interesting that the charge is conspiring to impede, as far as I could tell, unless I missed it. That was the charge. No other charges. It like conspiring, but didn't they actually do the thing?
Yeah,
and like let air out of the tires or slash the tires of a federal vehicle, or I mean, like that. It seems to be like you're doing the thing. You're not conspiring to do the thing. You conspired and you did it.
Yeah, like you guys were all in like.
What did I miss here?
You were in a Safeway parking lot next to the loading zone at 1 o'clock in the morning, and you were like tapping all your fingers against each other as you were thinking about what you were going to do, or were you just in the street slashing the tires of an ICE vehicle?
Which, I mean, brass balls, I'll give you credit. All right, you got some sand, and you're standing up for what you believe. A credit where credit is due. I just wish, damn it, you guys would do that for things that are a little closer to home.
That's the thing. Well, they're not things that I'm with you on the courage. They're not standing up for the things they believe in. They don't believe in anything. They're standing up for that which they were algoed into that day.
Yeah, well, you get caught damaging federal property or impeding a federal investigation. I don't know what's political about that. Like, they got to charge you with that shit no matter what your politics are. Always. So, I guess the only thing that might make it political is what the I'd be curious to hear what the sentencing is on it. Like what their punishment ends up being. Now, if their punishment is like, crazy out there, then yeah, you could maybe make the case that this was political and the punishment shows that. But you did what you did, and the feds are going to get you, man. That part's not political. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And hell, I agree with them on some things and have respect for them even on some things, but also they're retarded.
Here is the rest of the mainstream City of Spokane figures speaking on behalf of the NPC protesters.
That this prosecution was political.
Because the first one, if you heard, it was the mayor.
Today, since the federal charges were filed. The Spokane Mayor Lisa Brown said in a statement today, since the federal charges were filed, I have maintained that this prosecution was politically motivated. It was meant to make an example out of people who disagreed with federal immigration policy. Councilwoman Kate Tellis also...
No, it's not an example of people who disagree. It's an example of people who got in the streets and slashed tires. There's a lot of people who disagree with federal immigration policy who didn't exhibit that behavior who aren't being prosecuted.
Isn't it interesting how people break the law when they see fit, and then they'll tout the law the moment that it suits their purposes?
Preference over principle.
That's both sides. Absolutely. I mean, conservatives will thump their chests and be like, I'll do whatever I want with my guns. Forget the law. But don't you dare gamble or smoke weed, and then I'll bring out the law on your ass or cross that border. And, and liberals are like just on the opposite of things. They'll break the laws for marijuana, and they'll break the laws for prostitution, and they'll break the laws for illegal immigration. But don't you dare think about not paying your taxes.
Here's the last part of the clip.
Okay.
Councilwoman Kate Tellis also appeared outside the courthouse after the verdict and told me she is disappointed and looking forward for justice prevailing. Councilwoman Sarah Disick also shared her disappointment to the crowd of supporters outside the courthouse today. This is a continuing developing story that we will continue to report on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just going to throw it out there right now that these people who are parading in the streets, these elected leaders who are talking this way and behaving this way, are the same leaders who just last year or 2 years ago now prosecuted a small handful of teenagers for defacing rainbow crosswalks in downtown Spokane because the teenagers were having themselves a day and they thought it'd be fun, and it was actually funny to basically put graffiti on rainbow crosswalks because the city of Spokane for Pride Month made their crosswalks all rainbowy.
Naturally.
And a group of youths like rode their bikes on some of the crosswalks and like left tire marks and I think they did some spray paint. They did a few, minor stuff. Stuff you shouldn't be doing. Again, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, because what do you expect is going to happen? But what they didn't expect was for the city to come down with the full force of the law.
Yeah.
And it did. And it prosecuted them for defacing public property and went after them hard. But these are the same people, though.
Sounds politically
do
motivated.
that to teenagers.
Sounds politically motivated,
weird.
Mayor of Spokane.
Yeah.
Huh.
Where it's just, again, rules for thee, but not for me. Yeah. Or, I like the stuff I like, and I don't like the stuff I don't like. So, this over here is justice, and this over here is injustice because I say so. The law is just whatever I want it to be.
I got to play.
I sit here and I disagree with almost all of it. Everybody's wrong as usual.
As usual.
That is why government should not exist or be way, way smaller, because here we are. We can't agree on anything. So why on God's green earth would we allow a small handful of people to dictate this to us?
Here is the reason that government it's never smaller, and it only goes the other way because the public wants it on account of the mainstream, which is why we do this show. I'm going to play us out with this final clip. I know we're at overtime, but the gas prices might fluctuate and it might not be relevant by next week's show. So I got to play us out with this. You got to tell me what is missing from this 4 News Now report.
Is nearly 80 cents cheaper per.
You know what? Yes, it is.
Here comes the question. Big or small, make your guess before we call. The game begins. It's Ask Paul.
Brought to you by Raising Cane's.
Is nearly 80 cents.
So it's the first word got cut off, but it's gas.
Is nearly 80 cents cheaper per gallon in Idaho compared to Washington, and that's causing many drivers to head across the border.
New data confirms there have been more trips from Washington to Post Falls since gas prices spiked earlier this year. Derek Strom spoke with customers about how much they're saving.
Driver analytics company Arity released new data that confirms drivers are heading to Idaho for cheaper gas, and in the past few months, that number jumped by nearly 10% when gas prices spiked. Visits across the border have come down slightly since then, but the data shows Washington drivers are still heading to Post Falls more often. Even though that data from Arity shows fewer people making the trip from Washington to Post Falls for cheaper gas prices, many of the gas stations here in State Line are still seeing lines at the pump.
State Line's always been really good for people who don't really want to pay Washington prices.
Absolutely.
I used to live in Colville, and I'd drive all the way here.
And it's not just gas.
Just to get gas and cigarettes.
The demand for gas is high enough at the 2 gas stations at State Line Plaza that its owners are building 8 new gas pumps set to open next month.
We'll decrease stress level a lot. A lot of people get angry waiting for a pump and get cut off. This hopefully will make it a lot easier. The way the pumps are set up is a lot better.
The manager at the Liberty Stop and Go in State Line says the cheaper nicotine products also draws people from Washington. For customers like Rick Lloyd, the amount he saves on both cigarettes and gas will keep him coming back.
This is like a 14-gallon change, so if it's empty, it is about $1 difference. You're going to save $14 about. Come over here, buy a carton of cigarettes, you save another 30, and that's $45 back in your pocket.
In State Line, Derek Strom, 4 News Now.
Now, that's a 1-50-second clip that didn't include the most obvious question one would ask upon hearing the premise of this story. What didn't they include?
I'll take why are prices higher in Washington than they are in Idaho, Trebek? And then I'll answer the question. I will take what are taxes, Trebek, for 1,000.
Hello.
I win.
Does anyone?
I win. It's almost like money goes where it's most respected. It's like capital will flee to where it is most protected and most respected and goes the furthest. Always.
Hello?
Womp, womp. I mean, the town of State Line, Idaho, is completely built around Washington sucking as hard as it does, and I'm dead serious. Like it's that if Washington ever decided to stop eating shit and get better, the town of State Line, Idaho would probably dry up and go away. It wouldn't exist. It depends on Washington being so shitty. Tobacco taxes, liquor taxes, and gas taxes. And State Line has an abundance of all of those products at a significantly lower price. And they don't even have to compete on actual price. It's not like they're offering the product cheaper. It's just that the taxes are less expensive. So therefore the product can be offered cheaper. Here's an Ask Scott or an Ask Paul, I guess. Okay. I mean, kind of speaks for itself. But can you guess the number 1 performing liquor store in Idaho?
Well, I think it's been mentioned on this program, although it's been months. Is it at State Line? Hey,
it's the State Line, the Post Falls State Line liquor store. You win again. And then the actual Post Falls liquor store, the one that's just off of Spokane Street, is the 3rd best performing store in the whole state.
That's my home store.
I bet you can guess why. Anyways, we could go on like this forever.
Yeah, no kidding.
More mysteries. Hold on, let me get the X-Files thing back on. Why does this happen? Why do Washingtonians come over here and buy stuff? Why do people do the things they do?
Hey, I know.
It makes no sense.
Let's do a 2-minute report.
Only we can solve this mystery.
And not even ask that question. It just hangs in the air. It's just this magical phenomenon of Idaho gas prices being less expensive. And then we'll interview 4 people, all of whom are lighting one cigarette off the next, apparently. And
if only there was a way to figure out why people bought more stuff in Idaho. If only we could figure out who drove that truck into Raising Cane's sign. And if only we could figure out where the hell Jensen Heilman lives. We could solve all the world's problems this week. But these and many more answers are just too difficult to figure out.
This NPR report brought to you by Raising Cane's. Okay, well, that's episode number 31 of your No ID show.
That was fun.
In the can. And we don't really ask a lot of questions either, other than just what is wrong with everybody? Why is everyone wrong about everything all the time? Why is everyone such an NPC? Can't you people see what's going on here? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Those are the type of questions we ask.
But why male models?
Why? It's a legitimate question.
Why are you the way that you are?
Why? Why? Well,
I know why. Money. Money.
If you move a couple of keys away from the Y and go to the W instead, www.noidshow.com, that's where you can go to do all the things, return value to our program, because our program runs on value for value. If, of course, you find the show valuable. Everything is downstream of that. If you don't, well, I'm not really sure why you made it this far in the show. But thanks.
Well, I'll tell you what. We're cheaper. The podcast is cheaper over here in Idaho than it is in Washington. So now I understand why the spook from Spokane and all of his buddies listen to us, because we're less expensive.
Well, you made a mistake even asking why. That's not a relevant question.
I didn't ask why. I gave the answer. I didn't ask the question.
Okay. Well,
what's wrong with you? Don't you listen? You never listen to a word I say.
Huh? NoIDshow.com. Please remember us. Please remember us over there. If you find our show
We're begging
valuable. Please, God. Thanks to everyone who has remembered us thus far and continues to return value to our show from Post Falls. Till next week, I'm Scott.
And I'm Paul. Taxation is theft. I gotta share this with Scott.